Do you know, guys, all these cool magic circles and portals and glowing effects you see in anime, they show up in so many scenes. For example, Black Clover, Overlord, all of these examples are really stunning, guys. So in today's video, luckily, I'm going to show you how to make these awesome anime effects in 3D using Blender. It's easier than you think, and by the end, you'll be creating your own anime style magic effects. So let's get started. And before we start, make sure to subscribe if you are not. So subscribe because 79% of you guys aren't subscribed. So please do that. And if you want to watch the full version of this video with more or extra stuff, uh, make sure to join me over on Patreon. This video is available on Patreon. So it's so detailed. For YouTube, it's gonna be fast, but it will cover most of the stuff. So you can do that too. So anyways, this is the blend file, and if you are on Patreon, you should have this blend file with the video. So I have so many type of these anime effects. So basically the start is gonna be like this healing type of magic circle. Okay, it's already animated. I'm going to show you how the animation looks, and also these books, magic books. Okay, how to make them and how to generate or how to make these covers, because you'll never you'll never find one of these, so you need to make them yourself. Okay, and finally we're going to see this teleport one because it's so interesting with its own base, and we are going to texture all of these ourselves. So let's play the animation and see. So every one of these have its own animation, like this book have this type of animation. Okay, the healing circle have this type of animation. Okay, it comes with its own this thing, cross, I guess not cross, it's plus icon, I have no idea. And finally the teleport one. In the final render you will see the motion blur, but right now in the 3D viewport we can't see, so it's kind of jagged. But after all, you'll find that it looks cooler when you're rendering it. So for example, let's have the camera view. So this is the camera view. Okay, my camera is focused on this one, so I can just hit F12 and it should be rendered or rendering or whatever. So as you can see, the motion blur is amazing. Obviously I have my emission strength is too much. I'm going to lower it down, but not now. So first, download the image from the description, add it to Photoshop, duplicate it in case you made something wrong, and add a black and white adjustment layer so I can remove all the colors and maintain only black and white data. And make sure to use a mask and delete these words. And after all, I'm going to invert the mask so I can only have the words. And basically you can add the curves adjustment layer to clip the black and white values, so only we need those. And you can play with the color ramp sliders. Color ramp, it is curves, okay, sorry, it's curves, to give it some smoothness and etc. Yeah, and as you can see here, I'm drawing. Oh, I want to draw over these big words, but you can do the same trick where I deleted those using the mask and inverting the mask and adding black and white adjustment layer, and also adding the curves adjustment layer so I can maintain only black and white values. And as you can see, only play with the curves adjustment layer. It's so easy. Everyone should know how to do that. But it is not the best way. You can just only draw over them and call it a day with a hard brush with black value. And now I'm adding a solid color with a white value or a white color, so it's gonna be my alpha texture. And as you can see, the circle isn't in the center. I added some guides and add it to the center and make sure it is in the center. And as you can see, I want to add some circles around these big words. Using the circle, hold shift to make it a perfect circle, and add to it a stroke and none for the fill, so you have only these the stroke, yeah, and adjust its pixels so it's not that thick. As you can see, we're done with the alpha. So you can export it as PNG or GPG or whatever, because we don't have any alpha. And you need to import it into Blender using the import images as planes. Go to edit preferences, add-ons tab, and search for images as planes and enable this add-on. Shift A and add images as planes. Locate your file or image and make sure you have the material type set to emit and strength of 1 and blending mode set to alpha blend. And voila, and you hit import. And as you can see right now, we can see nothing. You need to be either in material preview or render viewport. As you can see, it's working, but it's the inverse. So we need the words to be emitting light and the others is transparency. We can do that in the material settings. And by the way, you need to get the starter file because I have all my render stuff ready for me. So here I added an emission and transparency nodes. With a mix shader, I use my image as a factor for that. And as you can see, it's working really well. You can add a color ramp to the image to make it smooth a little bit and get rid of all of these weird stuff that we have here, because we have some gray values. And we need to make these other circles. It's easy. Shift A, add mesh circle, and 32 vertices is enough. Go to edit mode, extrude it and scale a little bit and make it like this. You can select everything, Shift D, and duplicate that and keep adding and adding. And as you can see, I added the color ramp to get rid of these annoying stuff. Okay, and make these circles a bit thick, so add some variation as you can see. And later on, I have added a material to that and call it healing emission. The same setup and the same color, and yeah, as you can see, it's done. So now I want to add this gradient stuff. Okay, I have no idea how to call it. It's only a circle and extruding these this circle. Add to it its own material, emission with transparency and mix shader. And I'm going to use a gradient texture as an alpha, or sorry, as vector. Rotate it on the y-axis and add to it a color ramp and B-spline interpolation mode and add some colors. And as you can see, it's working really well. This is what I need. Yeah, just play with the color ramp. If it's not working, flip the nodes if things going wrong. And to add these particles that going around, duplicating the same object and the same material, and only use a noise texture with a color ramp sets to constant, and squeeze these along the z-axis and make sure you have the object coordinates so we can add some rotation at the end so we can animate it. As you can see, object coordinates and scale them on the z-axis, and you can play with the color ramp so you can add only few of these, and make sure you have alpha blend as your alpha so you can see transparency in other places where it's said black. Okay, just the colors to make it transparent or less transparent, you know. And now I want to create the cross, add a plane, add some loop cuts, and bevel these loop cuts with Ctrl P and delete all the faces, and scale these edges as you can see with medium point. Okay, and add to it its new material. Okay, a new material, transparent and emission and mix shader with the gradient texture as a factor. And I added an empty to drive the transparency, and make sure to eyedrop it and use also the object coordinates as your mapping. As you can see, now it's working. And flip the gradient texture on the y-axis so it's going up, not like horizontal, so it's going vertical, as you can see as this example showing how it's working. So yeah, and okay, Shift A and add mesh plane, and the plane should be smaller a little bit, not too much but a little bit. Control A, sorry, and apply the scale because we are scaling that back. Now let's go to the particle system and let's add new particle system, and let's make sure it is emitter. And in the render, I'm going to switch it from render as hello, whatever is that, and into object. And for the object, I'm going to select the cross, and let's make sure it's named correctly. Cross, not plane, cross. So yeah, let's go back to our emitter and let's name it also cross emitter. Okay, something like this. And voila. If we play that, all these crosses are falling down, and that's not what we need. And they are laying down, so rotation is not correct. So first, we need a few of them, not too much. 1000 is too much. I'm going to use 100. And to fix the falling down issue, I'm going to go to the field weight. Let's go to the field weight. For the gravity, I'm going to use 0. Okay. And they are shooting outward, and they are so fast. First, let's let's add the timeline here to see. First, I'm going to end this animation at 150, and I'm going to increase their scale because they are so small. Let's play with the scale again. Let's make them bigger a little bit. Okay, it's good. And let's fix their rotation. Let's go to the rotation tab, enable it, and let's go to the object Z. Okay, object Z, where is it? Okay, object Z. And let's play with the face or the rest. Oh my god, I have no idea. They are doing something wrong. Or am I doing something wrong? Okay. Oh yeah, it is working. Now it is working. Yeah. They are doing something wrong, not me. Okay. So okay, they should be not going from this one. So let's move them outward a little bit because their origin. Okay. To fix this issue, I'm going to place the origin at this point. So yeah, let's add it. Q, set origin into the 3D cursor. Shift C. Okay, that's good. Now let's see. Yep. After editing the origin, so the origin is in here, or the pivot point is in this place. Yeah, as you can see. I have no idea if you can see it, but it is this dot here. This is the origin. Okay. Let's see now if they are working. Okay. Their lifetime is short. Why we can't see them? Okay, this is a big issue again. Oh my god. This is another issue to solve. Why they are not visible? Oh yeah, they are not visible cause of this one. Okay, should have mentioned that. Oh, it is working. Okay. Yep, I need them to finish up. Not too much. So yeah, I need them to finish in here. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to go back to the material. Yep, let's go to the material again. And we are going to use B-spline interpolation mode to give it some smooth interpolation in terms of interpolation. Okay. And let's bring the B color or the B color into here. And yep, I guess it is working right now. I have no idea, but it is working. Let's go to the color here. Let's make sure this one is kind of whitish, not too much, but kind of. Yeah, so they are looking transparent a little bit. Okay, something like this. And this gonna be or should be similar to these ones. But right now we need to fix the scaling issue. So they are too big, and their lifetime is not enough. So I'm going to use 200 for their lifetime, and for their scale, I'm going to randomize it a little bit and give it some randomization. Okay, and now the crosses are small and big and etc. And their lifetime is enough, really enough. 200 frames is enough, really. Okay. And for our lovely emitter, I'm going to make it transparent. So let's add to it cross transparent emitter. Okay. It should be just a quick add node. Voila. Make it alpha clip to make it fast. And I'm going just to move it up a little bit on the Z axis so it's not colliding. And voila, now we're done basically with the first one. Okay, this is our first effect, but we need just only to animate some of these stuff. For instance, I'm going to animate this one in its own rotation, so it's rotating a little bit with the vortex kind of. So let's add to it on the Z-axis rotation, hashtag frame, and let's see if it's fast or not. Oh, it's lightning fast. Let's divide that by 80, for example. Okay, 80 is too much. Overkill. Let's do 20. Let's do 10. Okay, 5. Okay, yeah, 5 is good. Yeah, it's good, really good. What we can do actually, okay, I'm going to do something weird. Let's add an empty. Let's do cube. Okay, cube is good. It's really good, yeah, cube. Let's make it small a little bit. Let's select all of these, all of them, and after all, select the cube. Control P and parent with keep transform. Where is it? The keep transform. Yeah, this is it. And now let's go back and see. Okay, right now if we select the empty, where is the empty? This one. We can scale this down or scale up. So in the frame number 20, let's say, let's press K and let's add scale. Let's go back to the frame 0. K, let's add scale. But right now I'm going to scale at 0 on all axes and press I here, the keyframe, or yeah, update the keyframe. Or let's add K again, scale, to make sure, just to make sure. Okay, that's good. And let's select these keyframes, Shift D, and duplicate them and add them here. And press S and -1 to flip these together. And just move them again into their place. Okay, something like this. And now the animation should be seamless. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's kind of seamless. Just the crosses are doing some weird stuff. We should have just end their lifetime in this place. 100 and what frames? Yeah, 141. Okay, let's do that. Let's select them. Let's go to the particle system. Let's do 141. And that's their new lifetime. And they should be ending soon. Oh my god. Oh yeah. Lifetime also should be here. Okay. Now let's do that again. Oh my, okay. We're still having the same issue. Maybe let's do 120. Let's do 110 for this one again. Let's see it now. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's really good. Right now it is good. Okay. We could have done some tweaks, but you know, right now it is good. Yep. Right now it's good. Yeah. Now we're done with the first example. Now let's move to the book. Okay, now we're done with this one. Let's move to the book. The book is so simple. We're going to model the book. And to make the book, it's simply a simple plane. Adjust its dimensions in edit mode, create a loop cut, bevel it, add another loop cut, move it down, bevel it again to make it smooth a little bit, and add your cursor here and make sure the pivot point sits to the 3D cursor so you can rotate these edges or faces, and to make the book like it's folding a little bit. Duplicate these faces to make the pages. Adjust its scale on the normal, so make sure you have the normal, not the global, and just extrude it to give it some thickness. Add some loop cuts and just play with the shape until you have something that looks like pages or yeah, book pages. Give it some variation by playing with the vertices and add the origin. Make sure the origin is in this point right here. And after all, add a mirror modifier so you have the other half. Apply the mirror modifier and adjust its position a little bit because it's flying. I have no idea. Add some loop cuts if it's missing something. And voila. And you can scale it in object mode so it's fitting inside the bookshelf or the book cover. Okay. And yeah, that's easy as I think. And to make its own material, I jumped into Photoshop and created the book cover using an image from Pinterest. You'll see that this is gonna be my reference for the dimensions, and I added book cover from Black Clover. Okay, you might know this anime, and used the pen tool as to create my mask. So, and as you can see, I'm drawing over this book, creating that stroke, right click, and make mask from the selection or the draw. As you can see, doing that to the other one. It's so easy, nothing complex in Photoshop. You can use Photopeia. It's a free website, and you can adjust the scaling so it's fitting in this reference book cover. As you can see, that looks good. And yeah, and I want to make some background stuff that looks like this grungy, noisy thing. I've used a cloud, what they call it? Yeah, a cloud render from the effects panel in Photoshop. As you can see, it's working really well. Here I tried to do it one more time, but it doesn't work. For some reason, Photoshop doesn't want that. But yeah, add only a gradient map to color the noise or the cloud, as you can see, and add to it some filters. And yeah, as you can see, it's working kind of a little bit, but it's black and white. I have no idea why Photoshop doing that. But I'm happy with the result, even though it's not perfect. But we can fix that in Blender. So yeah, I'm here only showing you guys how the cloud work. If you want to see the full video, just go to Patreon and watch it, because I'm doing only voiceover and I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing. So yeah, all of these videos with voiceover, it's not the perfect way, but it's fast. It's fast. So yeah, jump into Blender and create new material and add the texture as material. And yeah, you need to unwrap the book. I unwrap it using the project from view. As you can see, it's kind of working. So definitely you need the UVs, because later on I'm going to play with the UV editor. So adjust it a little bit, but after all, I selected all of these faces under the book, something like this, and jump into the UV editor, and I can scale it to fit my book cover. As you can see, that looks good. Select some islands. I call them islands or faces, whatever. You can scale them, tweak them, move them around, and that looks good to me. You might have some stretching, so you can unwrap each faces on its own. I believe you can do that. I'm going to show you how to do that. Only select the faces that you want and unwrap and call it a day. So I'm doing that here, I guess. As you can see, selecting all of these faces, U and unwrap, and move them to a side. And as you can see, that works really well. So I selected all the faces that I want, move them into place, scaling them, and that looks really perfect. And select the other faces that you don't want any image to be in them and move them to a place. Doesn't matter, just move them to any place. That looks good. And now let's go to the pages. For the pages, it's really simple. It's only a noise texture with a color ramp and slight variation on the color using the colors from the image that I have done in Photoshop. And as you can see, that looks good. Add some details and roughness to this effect. That looks good. And here I tried to add some like kind of pages effect using the wave modifier, but it doesn't work. So yeah, just give up, guys. It's not gonna work. You need ton of unwrapping, and you need to separate each half of pages so you can get that to looks kind of right. But it doesn't work with me. Yeah. And I added a bump node so I can add some details to interact with the light, so it's not flat. So we have some details. You can see these pixels causing it's caused by the low resolution. And I added this one, the pages. I guess this is an AI generated image. Yeah, I will leave it in the description so you can use it, guys. I have no idea, but it is what it is. So select the faces that you want and adjust them according to the image that you have. Just scaling and adjusting the vertices until it fits, because I know it's gonna fit. So yeah, only do that. It's not going to be looking stretchy. It will work. So only play with these vertices. and call it a day. And for the other pages, move them to another place. It is what it is. Yeah. Control I to invert the selection and move them to any place that you like. And that's it. It's really, really easy, guys. Here I have added ambient occlusion to add some depth a little bit, and use mix color multiply sets to multiply, so it's only affecting the black values. And I did that for the book cover and the pages, so we have some depth. And now to add these glowing edges, I duplicated the whole book, add it to a new collection, and I can extract the edges from that. So going to edit mode, select these edges. As you can see, I'm doing here, hold shift and alt to select all the rows. And yeah, that should be pretty simple, guys. Shift D that P and separate it by selection. Do that for the book cover as well. Shift D and P separate by selection. And I can hide the book stuff, and I can convert that to curve. As you can see, I can add to it some thickness. In edit mode, you can't do that much in for the curves. You need to add to it some geometry, so I added some depth, as you can see. And you can play with the resolution if you want it to be smooth or less smooth or whatever. So it's up to you. And I added a material to that using the emission. Okay, and I added the transparency, so I can add some variation. And I added the noise texture to affect these transparent parts. Okay, add a color ramp so you can control it a little bit. The alpha blend works really well, but if you want a harsh transparent stuff, you can add alpha clip. And as you can see, that looks really cool. And yeah, voila, that's cool. That's cool. Really, really cool. And for the pages, I added to the emission, so it's lighting a little bit. It is bright a little bit, you know. And voila, that's it. What I need to add is this particles that goes up, and as you can see, I made for them a shape. Looks like this, extracted from the book pages. Add to it its own material, and I'm going to use the same noise texture, but this time I'm going to play with its scale and squeeze it on the y-axis or the x-axis, it's up to you. And I'm going to unwrap each set of faces, so I can, yeah, project them from the view and the right view to unwrap the other stuff. And as you can see, use the UV coordinates as your mapping. And yeah, voila, and add a gradient texture so I can make the transitioning a little bit smooth in top and the bottom. And as you can see, I'm doing that here, playing with the interpolation mode like I'm doing here, B-spline, playing with the scale so I can scale it up or down. It's up to you guys, so how much you want to see, and plug that into the factor. Yeah, you need to multiply it with the result from the noise texture and add it to the factor for the emission and transparency. You can use invert node. This invert node is really cool. If you don't want to play with the color ramp and stuff, add only an invert node. I call it a day, so it's working. As you can see, that looks cool, and I can animate it to goes up a little bit. Maybe I'm going to show you here how to animate it. It's really simple. Only animate the location, add a hashtag frame, and divide it by any number. The higher of the number is, the slower it is. If you add a minus before the number, you can invert the, it's going to be up or down. It's up to you. So yeah, minus will invert the location. If it's going up, if you add a minus, it's going to be going down. And now I want to add the particles, these spheres that goes up a little bit. I duplicated that faces and add to them a transparent material. Create a new material and add to it a transparent PSDF, and add to it a alpha clip or alpha blend, and now add to it an particle system sets to emitter, and make sure to create the object that you want to emit. For me, it is an icosphere with an emission material. Yeah, it's only an emission material, and call it a day with the color that you want. And go to the render and choose object, and the field weight sets to 0 for the gravity, so it's going to be shooting up. And you can play with the velocity to make it going slow a little bit. And as you can see in the physics tab, also you can limit its height. You can also play with its weight. As you can see in the time map, it is going slower. The velocity, you can play with the z value, so it's shooting straight, not going into the sides. And you can play with its own lifetime. The higher lifetime, it's up to the frame count. So 200 is 200 frames, etc, etc. You can play with the damping and stuff, so it's going to be giving you something. And play with the scale randomization, so some particles are big, some are small, and that's it. And yeah, you can add an empty to control the whole book. Select everything and parent it to the empty with the keep transform, and select the empty and add to it a noise driver or modifier. Go to the graph editor, add to it a location keyframe, select that keyframe on the z-axis and add to it a noise, and play with its scale and strength, and voila, it's bouncing. You can add that to other axes, for example the x and y, and that will looks good for you. And thank you guys for watching, and see you again.